Dear viewers, wherever you are, hello and welcome to this new episode of your program, Out of the Box. Freedom, liberty, eternal salvation, modernization, sustainable development have all been great goals for all nations since the dawn of history. Flourishing nations would achieve the three goals. But what if you had to choose between being a modern state, having eternal salvation, and being free? Which one will you choose and why? And is this a valid question to start with? To shed more light on this topic, I'm really delighted to be accompanied by Imad Barsoum, the writer and the thinker. Imad, hello and welcome to the program one more time.
Ahmed, hello, and thank you again and always for giving me the opportunity to meet with you and your distinguished viewers and followers. Thank you.
So it's a pleasure. To start off, let's just quickly define these things I talked about in the introduction.
Yeah.
So, what is freedom and liberty to you? What does that mean, briefly?
It's very broad. I need an hour to explain the freedom and
To
liberty
put it in a
concept.
nutshell, as much as you can, as concise as possible.
In one word or two, one sentence, if I'm not free, I'm not alive. So freedom is life. And
Freedom,
liberty is the air we breathe. And this is very brief. But in
absolutely.
fact, those two meanings are the most valuable concepts for life. So without them, there will be no life.
Absolutely. Yeah, like that's so eloquent and articulate, actually. You put it very eloquently that, no freedom, no life. I'm dead. I'm as good as dead. Okay, and
Indeed.
what is eternal salvation? Like the way you see it or the way you think most people see it?
This is very relative because it depends on each and everyone's belief, ideology, and vision for the future and the afterlife. So there is no eternal life on Earth as we know it because we are all biological matter will come to an end one day, and
Mhm.
even the planet itself will come to an end one day. But what is after? What's next? That's a question that nobody could answer yet unless they follow a special or one of the doctrines or one of the ideologies that would promise life after death. And this is the eternity for them. But not for everyone, eternity the same, of course. So
Okay.
personally, I see, sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's fine. So personally, I believe that again, this is something that I keep it to myself, as because a belief is a very personal matter, and I respect everyone's idea about the eternity. However, maybe this, as we say, is not my cup of tea. So eternity is to their beholders, or is good for their followers.
Okay, so just a follow-up question here. Assuming that somebody believes in eternal salvation, and is it worth the sacrifice, in your opinion? Is it worth sacrifice from your personal freedom, your modernization, like your health, your wealth, whatever? Is it worth the sacrifice?
Before we answer this question or we discuss it together, I just want to define or understand what is meant by salvation. Again, salvation is why do we need salvation? And salvation from what? And that's the main point that I would like also to have your opinion together so we can discuss it together. What is salvation and why do we need it? Because uh, personally, I don't think I need salvation because there is nothing that would make me feel that I am burdened with um, amount of sins or amount of issues that would make me need salvation. So that's why.
Yeah,
What is
so
salvation?
maybe salvation might be more a Christian term, and
Yeah.
it's more related to redemption. And then after redemption, you'd gain eternal salvation because of the eternal sin or the corruption of human nature, as other denominations would put it. But for other religions, it's like eternal bliss, living in an eternal bliss.
Yes. Yes.
Is it like eternal bliss, ecstasy, heaven, paradise, whatever you want to call it? Is it worth the sacrifice in this life?
Since I don't know what this kind of bliss is, so I would
Mhm.
rather choose what I know over the one that I don't know. That's my opinion. I know that the majority would choose the salvation and the eternal life, and but they can pay hefty price for it. But again, I believe that they still have to consider this sacrifice that they will put through before they consider the salvation or the eternal salvation. But salvation in itself, something I wouldn't go for it because I mean the eternal life, eternity, because I don't know it. And whatever I don't know, I cannot judge.
Okay, and last definition here is what is modernization? Like being civilized or like being a modern citizen or modern human. How would you define that? Is this
Well,
also very subjective or do you see an objective definition to it?
actually, it has two branches, the modernization. I would say that there is modernization and civility in human behavior, where we act now as people who live in cities under the government system and by laws, abide by the law. And the more we progress in putting laws and regulations to manage our life, this is modernity as well. We are modern people. We are not living with the law of the jungle. But on the other side, modernity as well could carry the meaning of using the highest technology that the humanity have reached in our life. So going from the typewriter with that mechanical to the keyboard and now to the you can talk to your computer and write whatever you want and so on. This is modernity as well. So both of them are different, but could be also parallel because the more we are developed in our social and human life, day-to-day life, the more we need also modernization in technology and high tech to match this advancement in life. Even though technology and modernity as well is mainly related also to medicine, healthcare, and how to make food available for everyone, especially with the huge number of population of the world growing. So this is all modernity to find a better way to life, an easier one, and carry on with kind of I mean, best thing for everyone.
Okay, so now today, do you think that modernization or civilization or civility, does it have to come from within or can it be induced or can it be like exported or like can it be imported from another force, another side?
Now, you have variety of sources actually for civilization and modernity, of course. So we know that in ancient civilizations, they have self-developed it. And I cannot assume that ancient civilizations got it from somewhere else because they're always an origin of any idea or an origin of any way of life. So, for the ancient Egyptian civilization, for instance, they developed themselves. People had the time to think, contemplate, realize, observe, analyze what's around them, and had the time to put one stone above the other, then found that they can put a pillar on top of them with a roof. So they were builders, and they were very good engineers and architects at that time. So they developed a civilization and became modern at that time. Some others where for example, they invade a country like Egypt and they steal their engineering ideas and engineering methods and go and build it somewhere else.
Hmm.
So that is imported or stolen modernization as
Okay,
well.
okay.
And even if we apply it to the modern life, we can see this happening as well. So we know that someone might invent something, and then comes another company, steal it, and develops it. So now they are changing this. However, as you let's go to civilization now again, because I don't want to deviate for modernity and technology.
Yeah, yeah.
Civilization is always self-built and self-made,
Oh,
and people People work on themselves. This happens through, I would say, a society that is looking for a better way of life, but provided that they are free. Because people who are not free, they cannot think and they cannot develop themselves because there's another power that is oppressing them. And in that case, they cannot develop and cannot be civilized.
Okay. So which one of these would you consider to be an irreparable damage? Because, for example, you talked about today, like somebody might produce something and invent something, but let's talk about the legal path. I can buy a patent, or I can buy like the right to use it. Like there's intellectual property, there are patents now, so I can come and buy that from you. Um, so do you think that if I say that maybe modernization can be bought, but how about eternal salvation or eternal bliss and freedom? Which one of these you cannot live without? Which one of these would be an irreparable damage? Like you cannot, there's no supplement for it. Like
Tough choice. Tough
freedom,
choice for
yeah,
the general. For the general, it's tough
yeah.
choice. For the common people, for the public, it's tough choice. I think there are few people in the world who made that decision about the freedom over the salvation or the eternity. And I think those are the most maybe intellectual, most observing and trying to gain knowledge as long their course of life. Because when you believe only in the eternity and you follow it and you want the salvation, this is kind of submission. Submission to your fate, submission to your destiny, if you call it so, and submission to what you don't know, submission to the unknown. However, on the other side, those who seek freedom and even fight for it, they exactly know what they want. They want to make themselves feel alive through the course of life, regardless of the end of it, regardless of the end of the destination.
And
Even
do you think it makes sense that part of civility or a prerequisite for civility should be losing your freedom? Would that be real civility? Like, enslaving people or like being submissive or like, like having this self-chosen servitude, like,
no,
if
no,
I choose, if I have voluntary servitude towards someone, is this civility? Is this civilization? Again, does it make sense to you that the creator would require you to give up your freedom in order to worship him? Like, is this a logical question in the first place? Do you think that it's either or do you have to give this up to gain the other?
we are walking into a maze now,
Yeah.
or Ramayan land, actually. So it is very critical, Muhammad, these questions. And let's start with the first part is, should I give my freedom for civilization? And of course not, because, for example, we take the Western world and at a certain time, the medieval ages, when they started to have big ships to sail, they started to go around the world and invade it and colonize many places in the world. And when they did so, they carried the slogan of two things, that they wanted to make those savage, as they say, uh, people or tribes more civilized, and also they want to show them the way to God or the religion. And this was the biggest crime to humanity. For example, when the Europeans landed on the west side of the world, which is the new land, the new world at that time, invaded all the lands of North and South America and tried to force on the people who lived there peacefully for thousands of years, enforce on them two things: their so-called modernity or civility, which was butchering them, and also the religion, which was Christianity at that time, the one that was prevailing. So actually, the West did a huge crime against humanity by just landing on these lands, com com thinking that they can change them to
And
be
and let
better
us, let
people.
us delve deeper into this in our like second part of this episode because as usual, as many of our topics, this is a very extensive thing, and we cannot really cram it up
I know.
in
As I
just
told you,
one episode.
it's a
But
maze.
here we're just trying to pave the way for the discussion
Okay.
of this
All
episode.
right.
We'll go deeper into that. And
So,
do you think, like, because, like you said, when the people from Europe came to the new land, when they like settled at Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts, or when they came to Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada, et cetera, like whether they were coming from France or Spain, whatever, um, or coming from England, but actually the settlers in Canada, first people to really settle were the French, rather
from
than,
France, yes. Yes.
yeah, like
Yes.
Giovanni Caboto or like John Cabot was the one who discovered
Yeah.
it, but Jacques Cartier was the one who settled there.
Who settled then and started what we know as Quebec, Canada now, of course. Or
Exactly.
yes.
And same thing for United States and whatnot. It was Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
So,
And Americo Vespucci, then later on,
exactly.
Americo Vespucci was the first big settler. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And then so on. So, like, do you think that they usually come hand in hand, like civilization and religion? Because um, a term that many first Europeans used to use against the First Nations, they did not call them only barbaric, but they called them pagan and heathen,
Yeah.
which is not related to civilization alone. It's related like you guys commit abominations. You guys like you don't know the God, and because if you knew God, you would be civilized. Do they come hand in hand? Like when you come as an explorer, you also come with missionaries as well? Does it always come this way? And here I'm not talking only about Christianity, but maybe we can delve deeper into Islam, Judaism, and others later on. But generally speaking, do you think that usually they go hand in hand? Like political might, control in the name of civilization and salvation at the same time?
Actually, the religion is a way to we call it the emballage of the invasion, or the wrapping. They wrap it in a very nice paper and with some red ribbons to show that this invasion actually is meant for a good thing. So they use religion to cover up their actually barbaric and savage deeds that they will carry on later on. And this is what was done by the Christians when they invaded many countries of the world, and by the Muslims when they started to also open their new land and building empires. And then the Umayyads, Abbasis, and then after that, of course, the Ottomanians. All of them, wherever they go, they did not leave any land safe and its people. Latin America was destroyed. The natives were destroyed by the Europeans. North Africa was destroyed by the Arabs when they came in. And we have the history says what happened in Egypt and Algeria and how the Amazigh, the Berber, fought the invasion for many years until they gave up and they lost thousands of lives. In Africa, where all the Europeans also settled there in the 17th and 18th century, and what crimes against humanity they did. And all these missions were also covered by the cross and the words of God and the Bible on top of it. So a decree to eliminate one village was signed by the Pope or by the bishop at that time. So you have to, this is purge. They call it the purge of those savages. So actually, they were not purging them for this anything except to take their land and dig for the gold and the copper. And that's what happened. So invasion uses religion as a cover to fulfill their true mission or the mission that they have in mind in the first place.
Yeah, okay. So now they would use religion as a cover to conquer other lands and whatnot. But again, like, is it fair to leave a huge piece of fertile land and very rich waters and a land that's full of minerals underneath? Um leave all these pieces of land to a fringe, if you like. This is the way that the conquerors would call those people. Because what were the First Nations doing with all of this rich land that they had, with all of this rich nature that they had? At the same time, you had a much bigger population, much more advanced population, strangled in Europe. Isn't this fairness that this should be shared? And again, they might say, like, the First Nations wouldn't willingly share this land with us. They called it their land. So it was either we just leave them free and the whole world would lose this, and you wouldn't have like great nations like Canada and United States and whatnot today. You wouldn't have Australia, but you just have like these deserted islands with few primitives living over there. Isn't this fairness? Isn't this what God wants as well? Like, doesn't God like fairness? Isn't God fair? Isn't God justice? God is justice. God is not only just, God is justice itself. So isn't this really implementing the word of God and, having fairness for all humanity?
This is the devil's advocate talking, and not. With all respect to you, Mohammed. I mean,
Of
this
course, I
assumption that
understand.
you are putting, of course, it says it is what they said. Actually, you just repeated what they thought, what they said. I know, but that's devil advocate. So, first of all, if I have a land that has fertile, as you said, and you think that you have big family and you want to get some food from me, you can come to me and make a deal with me peacefully without invading my land and killing the families that you are getting to. And even if I say no to you, you must find a way. You must negotiate. You must say, okay, so if you give me food, I will give you maybe some tents to live in, some bricks. I will teach you how to build a house instead of living in a tent. There must be a way. But it's not just because the easiest way is to come to the land and kill and butcher all the original
Okay.
inhabitants of it
So
and
let me
take it
carry
over.
on with my role as a devil's advocate, because a counter argument that's ready for what you're saying here. I'm sorry, I did not come to peaceful people. Like, they were already fighting with each other. Like, why was it okay for them to butcher one another, but not me? Like, they were gonna kill each other anyway, and for nothing. But now I kill for civilization. I now, like, what did the new world give to the world? Like, a lot of inventions in the world today came from the new world.
By the way, the history told us, and we have lots of reference for this and evidence, even historians, not contemporary, but lived these eras, who described the very savage acts of the Westerns when they came to the North, the Western lands, to the New World. For example, excuse me, it was known that the natives of North America were known by skinning the head of their victims. So they captured some of the white people, then they skinned their heads. In fact, they found out that they learned it from the European invaders. They the ones are started this to put some terror in the hearts of the natives, of the people who own the land. So in order to rise them, so they started to skin them alive. So what they did, the natives, they learned this and started to apply it on their enemies. Excuse me. So again, where is it now that they are savage? Who is savage here now? This is one example. Then there is a very famous movie that even was made in Hollywood and in the 60s. And they keep hiding it and they don't want to, and they deny, even don't want to admit that it was produced. It's called Soldier Blue.
Yes.
And those who have watched, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find any copy of it, but my late father watched it and he told me about it. And what stories I heard about this movie, it is not even a horror movie. It's worse than a horror movie. But that was reality, what they did to the natives of North America. Same thing, Christopher Columbus, when he went to discover Latin America, all he wanted was the silver and the spices. So his forces did massacres beyond imagination, and you can see it also in the movie Conquest of Paradise, 1492. Ridley Scott. It's a great movie produced in I think
Absolutely.
1990. And this is one a great movie, and it is documenting or telling the story of how Christopher Columbus reached the New World, which is the Caribbean at that time, of course. That's the first land they discovered. And what they did there was horrible. Look at now, for example, a country like the Congo.
Yeah.
What the Belge did in Congo, they left the half of the country handicapped. They cut their hands and legs just to
And,
make,
and let's get deeper into this in the next episode. But
yes, yeah.
a very pressing question here would be like, isn't sacrifice part of religion? Like you sacrifice, like in every kind of religion, there is some form of sacrifice. So why can't and a lot of these sacrifices would require you to sacrifice your time, your effort, which is like your time is your freedom actually.
Hmm?
You know, like time is money, time is freedom, time is everything. So why not sacrifice some of my freedom to, you know, become more modern, to reach eternal bliss? It's because those nations, those heathen pagan nations, the way they put it, of course, um, they were doing sacrifices anyway. So why do the sacrifice for the wrong God? Like you're doing the sacrifice anyway. So wouldn't it be better for you to do it for the right God? Again, why don't you sacrifice some of your freedom to be taught to be civilized? What is your
Why
problem?
don't why don't you give me the right to choose? Why you are trying to impose on me your way? Why this invader or this person, this army or this nation that came to a land and they want to show them their modernity or civility or their way of salvation through their words is the right one. Maybe mine is right.
But,
So
you know, according to some religions, like human nature is corrupt. It's not you who's talking, it's not you who's resisting, but it's Satan.
yeah,
It's virtue versus vice, you know, like so it's not you. I'm not fighting you as a person, but I'm just fighting the satanic force within you.
but
You're being
this is
possessed by Satan. Like, you know, that's why you worship the wrong deity. That's why you worship idols. That's why you present sacrifices to, you know, to you go to an oracle, you go to a temple, and um, you even have the altar. So if you're ready to sacrifice animals of people at the altar, why not bring it to the altar of God?
the
So
same thing again. So why? Okay, so you come to me and tell me that is my deity or my the way of I am trying to reach my eternity is wrong and yours is right. And then another day, someone else come from another part of the world, tell me, no, 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 Muhammad is wrong and you're wrong and I'm the right one, and so on. So there are 4,500 ideology and religion in the world. Which one is right? So this is a big dilemma actually. So and now to be in the right context now, the one that is right is the one that has the power.
mhm.
So those who come with more power, more firing power, more a number of soldiers and invaders, their word will be listened, will be heard. And the weaker ones, even if they're right, they will be oppressed and
So
they have
Matt,
to
I think
submit.
there's yeah, okay, your voice is back. Your voice was went away for a
Sorry.
second and it's back down again.
So as I said, so those who come with the power of men and arms and weapons, they have the upper word. And that's why their way to sacrifice or the method of eternity is the right one.
And
And
couldn't this be a test from God for your belief? Like, couldn't this be your cross in the Christian perspective? Couldn't this be like the continuous testing in an Islamic perspective? Like humans were created in perpetual anguish. This is the nature of life. This is not the real life. This is just a testing place. You're not the sons of this world. You're not of this world. And like there are many words like that, like you know, in religious texts that so this suffering is part of your salvation. It's part of your um, you know, it's the way you can earn your eternal bliss. So the conqueror is not even is not a bad person. They're just an agent for your like salvation or for your bliss by God.
even if he carried a good mission or the good deed in his mind, but his methods were not right. His methods was barbarian. His methods were savage. So if you are really coming up with a message from God, why you are destroying me and my family? Why you are burning our houses? Why you are killing the women and raping the women and killing the children? Doesn't make sense that God wants all this.
But which one is better? For me to hurt you now and then let you go to heaven later on, or me leave you to enjoy your life the way you wanted and you burn eternally, in hellfire. So like you are being damned by God anyways. So isn't it better for me to punish you slightly in this world to make you steadfast, to put you on the right path instead of you being astray?
I
Or is
don't
it better to leave you and see you burn in hell later on?
I don't know if invaders come to a country and rape women and kill men and they take children as slaves is a test or punishment from God. If that's the small one, so then what
Yeah,
about the big one?
much worse is waiting. Much worse is
Well,
waiting.
okay. So actually, you are putting people in a very tough choice. It's not right because you have no any man, a human being, have no right to do this to another human being
Mhm.
under any circumstances, under any name, under any religion or ideology. If a man, human being, cannot respect another human being's life and protect it as well, then he is lesser than animals even because animals don't do this. Animals hunt and kill for food, but they don't hunt to teach things to others, or they don't kill for other things. They don't
Okay.
take revenge. They don't torture. So those invaders, in the name of any religion or any god or whatever, they are lower than the savage animals as well.
My last question for you during this episode, and of course we will carry on in the part two and maybe part three because this is a very, very long topic.
Yes, yes.
Um, like, what is maturity to you? What does maturity mean? Is it age? Is it puberty? Is it synonymous with puberty, or are they two different notions, two different things? Maturity, is
Well,
it puberty, just
it's a
being an
very good
adult?
question. Well, I never thought about before, but let me think with you now. Maturity, I believe it's the time when I start to realize and understand the meaning of many things in life.
Okay.
And I accept as well things that I cannot accept when I was younger or before my maturity.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of acceptance, kind of calmness, kind of deeper vision in life. And also, I'm is content with my choices, content with your choice. It's maturity. So, in other words, if I reach the situation that this is my ideology, my belief, I'm happy with it, and I am not under any influence, I made my choices, then
Okay.
I'm mature.
Fantastic. So, on the other hand, somebody can tell you, listen to this, please.
Mm,
When you're a little child, you had a carefree life. You didn't care
mm,
about anything. You just enjoyed, enjoyed, enjoyed. But one day, your tender, loving mother held your hand, took you on a little trip. And then at the end of this trip, she told you, bye bye, my love. And she left you in school alone. Many children cry. It's a trauma for some children, but no
mm.
pain, no gain. And you didn't choose to go to school. Your mom chose to send you to school because she wants you to mature. It was painful. Again, you had to study subjects and take homework and take tests. Nobody enjoys tests or homework, whatever. But you had to go through all of this to become really mature. So the conqueror might say, those are immature humans. They must suffer a little bit for them to become mature. When they become mature like me, they can have the free choice. Okay, when you became an adult man, your mother doesn't choose anything for you anymore. You make your own decisions. But now, because you are mature, again, I might say, I'll come and make you mature from the spiritual side, from the scientific side. After you're mature in both, I'll leave you and you make your own decision. Why not? Isn't this logical?
Interesting, Muhammad. Interesting. Okay, so go to the mother who took her child and put him in the school and left.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's coming to take him back home. And by doing this safely once, twice, he will understand that she doesn't mean any harm to him.
Okay.
But those invaders who came to the tribes and I would say primitive tribes maybe, and torture them and kill them, and they will never come back and raise them from death again, and they will never cure their wounds again.
But what
When
if you told your mother, I'm sorry,
yeah,
because I have to be, I have to like really, I'm playing this role and I have to do my role well.
yes, okay,
Because this is how a bigot would talk to you. Like in this episode, I'm playing the role of a bigot, of a
okay.
blockhead bigot. And a blockhead bigot will do exactly, and that's why I'm cutting you off many times during this episode. That's something I usually never do with my guests, and especially someone like you, but I insist on cutting you many times as a
Actually, I'm
bigot.
happy with this. I'm happy with this because it allows us to get
Yes.
deeper in the topic.
So as a bigot, I tell you, no, I'm sorry. What you're saying is absolutely wrong because your mother takes you, yeah, from school, comes back. But what if on the one day she takes you from school and you tell her, Mom, I'm never going back to school, and you start a temper tantrum? Will she tell you okay, or you might get punished for your own good? You might get punished for your own good. Again, if you're ready to assimilate with the modern civilization, like for example in residential schools, why did they kill the children? Because they refused to assimilate. So you refuse to be a good boy. Mothers don't punish good boys. Mothers only punish bad boys. And you're just a bad boy. If you accepted to become European like me, civilized like me, I would leave you. Like I wouldn't hurt you, but you refuse to assimilate and cooperate.
If this mother cannot handle her child in a very decent and very kind and caring way,
She
why
tried.
you kill his mother?
She tried, but it's not working.
If you tell me that there is a mother cannot handle her child, then she's not a good mother. She has to go away, leave him to someone else who can take care of him. So,
Absolutely.
in other words, mothers will do everything possible, but not to hurt their children to school. And we know that even we say it as an example in many times. If people look at their God, any God, I'm not specific God, of course, as the caring father, and then they torture then this God torture his kids,
Mm,
which are the people. You are a father, I'm a father, and we are talking to many fathers. None of us ever thought about torturing our kids to teach them something. On the
mm.
contrary, sometimes we actually suffer ourselves to make our children happy. And this is motherhood and fatherhood. But invader is never a father, never a mother. They don't care about the people they invaded. All they want is their land, their resources, their minerals, their women to be enslaved and also raped, and their children to grow up as their slaves as well. So kill the men, kill the women and children. And that's all they want. It's a kind of it's a barbaric and it is savage and it's cruel world, unfortunately, because they have the power. And that's why when they have the
Absolutely.
power, they can do it.
Absolutely. And as the bigot, I have to tell you, I still have a lot up my sleeve. So get yourself prepared for the next episode. We'll just stop it here.
Oh, I'm
But
worried now about the next time.
yeah, the bigots, like they have a lot to say. And
Okay, and
unfortunately,
I'll do my best to be also the one that try to bring peace to this discussion.
super. Ahmad, really, thank you very much for being with me here in this initial episode about this very big topic: freedom, salvation, modernization. Like sometimes some people would call it the unholy trinity, really, because it can bring a lot of destruction to the world, and it has already brought a lot of destruction to the world, using them as like one or the other and whatnot. Again, thank you very much for being with us, Armand. Thank you very
It's my
much.
pleasure, Mohammed. Thank you. And by the way, I have so
Thank you.
many things in my pocket still. I didn't
Okay,
bring out yet all my tools,
okay.
okay? So beware next time.
Better get ready. Better get ready. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it. Looking forward.
Thank
Thank you,
you
man.
for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Dear viewers, maybe we did it in a sarcastic way, but unfortunately, it's very true. It's very true. I was trying to play the role of the bigot here, who wouldn't even give a chance for Imad to talk. I always cut him off, but that's how bigots react. They never give you a chance to finish your idea, even. And there's always a way to twist realities. And Unfortunately, we're still living that. We're still living that today. And in the next episodes, we will, go into concrete examples from history. And maybe we'll need another episode to talk about modern time because this is the story of humanity, really. Conquering others, enslaving others in the name of salvation, in the name of modernization, in the name of both. And it's really time to end this insanity. Dear viewers, until we meet again, I hope you have a very pleasant time. Thanks for watching.